Welcome to another episode of Unapologetic with Eric King on WOVU 95.9 FM. I had to let that song play just for a little bit longer because this is the final Brother to Brother this year. So as usual, we got you all right over there, man? We got our usuals over here. We got Brother Ivra. How you doing, man? Drink that drink.
The usual suspects.
And then as well, we got Brother Dorian and rode up. He ain't ride his bike in this time, but he still slid in. What's going on, dude?
I'm in the building.
How you feel?
I'm feeling well, man. How are you?
Good. So this segment of Brother to Brother, we're going to close out the year in the way that it's supposed to be closed out. Now, I'll be honest with you. The topics that we're going to talk about today, which is relationships, accountability, and wealth, is stuff that we all talk about privately, but rarely address openly. So I'm going to, because we got such amazing men, fathers who's been married. Let's see, I've been married 18 years. How long you been married, Ivor?
13. 13.
How did you do that?
Because I had to do some math. I was like 19. Wait,
right.
No,
so that's 30 plus. Right. And how about you?
It'll be 5 years in April. So
5 years. So we got 30 plus. So we about mid 30s on the amount of years of experience in that marriage experience. And I know for a fact in our household, we teach relationships as well as we teach our kids relationships and also about accountability. I'm not sure if y'all raise boys, but accountability
is lacking.
And the concept of this whole accountability thing is lacking in certain aspects. And then wealth. And what's really important, last month when we were together, this concept of wealth and money and what level do you actually get to, where there's certain things that happen in our neighborhoods, in our community, in our state, in our country that don't necessarily affect you in a way that you may think or others may think. So that's something that we're going to talk about today. But before we jump into that, I do want to I want to give a big shout out to my mom. Happy birthday, Mom. And also my best friend, my brother that walked me down the aisle and been with me since the 7th grade. Happy also birthday today, Walt Jeezy. I appreciate you, bud. I love you, man, and I appreciate everything that you got going on in your life. So before we jump down to what we're going to talk about today, which is, like I said, relationships, accountability, and wealth, I want to know how was your month? Who want to go first? How we do? Are we done with Christmas shopping?
Wow.
Yeah, we were just Christmas shopping literally right before we got here.
Right before?
Had to set some time to be like, hey, so I'm she picks all the gifts and I'm usually like, well, do we kind of don't be shooting out my ideas? It's like, well, I don't think we need that. So
what?
Yep. So still doing some shopping. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So still got some shopping. What about you?
So we do things differently in the Bassett household.
Okay.
We no longer purchase a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
We've decided that our children would benefit more greatly from experiences.
Okay.
And so, we've got my kids are 8, 10, and 14.
Mm-hmm.
The two younger kids get their Santa gifts or whatever, but we're going to Panama for spring break.
Nice. Panama.
And so
I like that.
Yeah, so we are doing experiences. They get a couple of little things, so that shopping's been done. My wife is a soldier in regards to doing that stuff because she just takes stuff out and she'll buy stuff in April.
Right.
Oh, this is gonna be so. That's done.
Right.
But yeah, we're Panama and spring break is gonna be outstanding. So the experiences are so much better to me at this point. I'm tired of watching the G.I. Joe or whatever little thing that we bought in December come February no longer get played with or completely destroyed.
But they play with boxes though. Do your kids play with boxes?
No. We've passed the box stage.
We passed the box stage. Ours is too, but
they're at the handheld tablet. I'm spending too much time with the screen.
Yeah.
Stage.
Yeah, we're the box phase over
you
there.
At the box.
So please
box
don't buy
phase is
another
nice.
toy. Just don't buy it.
No, because you got. So let's pivot over to you. So you got 2 in diapers.
Yes.
As of right now.
4 months.
You got 2 in diapers. Mm-hmm. So, and then you got, your oldest one, Elijah. Yep. He is, how old is he now?
He just turned 12.
He about 30 now.
Just turned 12, but we talked about accountability.
It's 30.
We had that conversation before. I literally left out to come here. So 12.
Be like, why do you have to lie?
Like, just I don't understand. Like, oh, I forgot. The hole in the wall is right there.
Right. You don't have to lie.
What's happening?
You ain't got to lie. So I don't listen to Ice Cube no more, but you ain't got to lie.
You ain't got to lie, Craig.
You ain't got to lie.
You ain't got to lie, Craig, to kick it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And what else we got going on Dorian on your side? Because what else we got?
Yeah. Just the family. Looking to go out on my own as far as starting my own practice in 2025.
Yeah, he's on his way out.
On my way out, man.
He's on his way out.
I'm looking to add business owner to the title in a little bit. So,
make sure you talk to that man right there.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
make sure you
just let me know when you want to set up the employee 401k or the employer.
Okay, cool.
Retirement.
Yeah, I need to do a little bit of that.
We always talking about money here, in a positive way. But before we jump into what we got going on, how was your month? We are into a whole totally different month, about to end the year. Is everybody ending their year in the best way that they need to be ending their year?
Oh, for sure. For sure. There's things I'm looking forward to in 2025. Mm-hmm. And just, rallying, I think consolidating everything. Things need to be consolidated.
Okay.
I think this should go for Black folks in general in this country. Mm-hmm. We need to be consolidating and really focusing and working on those things that are truly important to us, and the things that we have control over changing. That's where our focus needs to be.
Is it your opinion that we do not already?
I think we spend a lot of time, and it's almost going into the topic, but
we get into the topic.
We spend too much time doing the things that don't matter, just like
what?
Social media for one, but and just like.
But you can make millions. You can make the bag on social media.
Can.
That's what they. That's it. That's it.
That's a dream.
Will you? Yeah. And just like the experience thing that we do with our kids now.
Okay.
We don't. I want Black folks to start thinking more about the things that are lasting,
like
versus the things that are like your health for one, your financial well-being for two, like the things that we're going to talk about in today's conversation. But I think there needs to be more of a focus on those things. I think there's a lot of like just mean, hurtful people. Like we need to be a little bit.
There's a lot going on.
Like our souls need to be kind of purged of all the negativity, man.
Yeah, there is a lot of negativity in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
Yeah, I feel like this year has ended on a high note, especially with me going to Africa this past this past week.
He went to the motherland. He was changed.
Yeah, man. New experience. Got a chance to go to Paris for a little bit, see the Eiffel Tower. My cousin was having a wedding in Africa, so that was really nice to just go see her. I haven't seen her in a while, but nice to be in a different part of the world, man. So that was definitely an eye-opening experience, and similar to you, Ivra, I came back to my wife. I was like, you know what? I think we sometimes just get lost in all the things we could buy or should buy, or all the things that be helpful. And I'm just like, what if we just got back to the basics? I was like, don't buy me no more Christmas presents. Yeah. Let's start, making a list of places that I haven't gone and said I was gonna go.
Yeah.
And let's start, making those a part of our a part of our lives. And so going into 2025, I know that's gonna be our focus, is to start kind of doing some different experiences.
What were you about to say?
I would love to see people not accountability, reconcile with all the little knick-knacky things that they buy that we don't need.
Like what?
Another
knick-knacky, patty-wacky, give your dog a bone.
Another pair of shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with the shoes. Another pair of shoes.
Yeah.
How many pairs of shoes? Like I tend to just. I'm gonna laugh at myself because I won't buy myself anything unless I need it.
Yeah.
But I'm also not the one that's gonna wait for you to buy me something that I do need.
Okay.
And so when we find ourselves just buying stuff that like, do I really need this?
Do you?
No. Not in most cases, unless you're buying something for a need, like a school project, or I'm going to build this shelf in the garage and I'm doing it today or tomorrow. I want to see us hold on to that thing, that money, and create a savings account. Like, there's so much we can do with that, with our economy, that we contain it. We hold a big economy, and we don't tend to use our power in a way that makes people aware of who we are.
Last piece, Ira, that I want to highlight that you definitely brought to the forefront of my mind. It was like, I remember a couple years ago, so our 12-year-old son, he has 5 grandparents. They went out and like they bought him a sea of gifts.
They did it. They did it big time.
20 to 25 gifts, and I was just disgusted.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Like, what are we doing?
It's not just me that has that feeling.
And the grandparents aren't communicating with each other, so it's like they buy this whole conglomerate of stuff, and I was just like, no. This is, I was like, I'm putting my foot down.
Where's the gift receipt?
Right, I put my foot down. I said, this, I don't want this to be the norm, right?
I need y'all to get right.
We're driving the Escalade, but we live in a project.
Yeah,
so like, I don't, right? I said,
we do that.
I said, so how about and this when we made the switch, I said, how about each one of the grandparents, you do one gift, and you contribute X amount to his college fund.
Right.
I'd rather you do that than us going out and us buying these absorbance gifts that's only lasting for a couple months. Right, a couple months at a time. And so now, having 2 more children, that has now became the focus. Yeah. I don't need you to buy any more toys. Like, he got plenty of those.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you this. These are grandparents.
Yes.
Which means that they were once parents.
Absolutely.
Is this one of the incidents or one of those, things by which, the grandparents appear to be doing more than they did for me? Or for my wife and I should say.
Right. No, I definitely agree. Agree. Because I feel like my parents are way better grandparents than they were. It's like they're trying to overcompensate. I'm just like, you know what?
They're trying to get it right.
I never really got this.
They're trying to get it right.
Because y'all want to invest in the future, let's try to invest in things that, and even if he doesn't go to college, hey, he'll have X amount of money to go invest or do whatever with. I said, let's start focusing on that because, the amount of friends I'm sure that we all have who, if you would have told me like, hey, your college debt is going to not only impact you now, but impact you later when it's time for you to buy a house. Never knew that one. Right. Yep. Right.
But you took that free T-shirt.
Yeah,
right. You took that free T-shirt. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But no,
sure did.
Yeah, we all did. No, and I'm not making any assertions like looking down because I know for a fact my first credit card was a Discover card, and that Discover card gave me $1,000 limit, and that $1,000 limit never got paid off until I was able to understand that if I don't do something about this, right? This is before all the laws and the 1099 and C's and all that other good stuff that people, be talking about. If I didn't pay this off, it would bother me. This is the funny part. I guess once Discover had sold the account, they sent me another Discover card.
Yeah.
With a whole totally different account. But go ahead, I'm sorry. Right. I got that credit card because we were in the student center. And they was like, hey, get these Twizzlers and this T-shirt, and sign up for this credit card. We give you a Twizzler and T-shirt.
You know what? One of the things that I started doing, and I love this, is I started using those as tools.
Yeah. And which ones?
The credit cards.
Okay.
Use them as tools.
Yeah.
And I have a credit card that I pay everything on and pay it off at the end of the month. And I accumulate those points and blah, 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 blah.
That's how you're supposed to do it.
Absolutely.
Man. Absolutely. And but also one of the things that I did not account for was that's a good feeling.
Yeah.
When you look at that balance and it's, 235 and a minus sign. Right. And then zeros.
Yeah.
Great feeling.
And you got a bunch of points.
Yep. Yeah.
That go along with it. So we're gonna jump out on our first break, and on that first break, let's see if we can pay some bills. We're gonna come back and we're gonna jump into our first level. So today we're talking about relationships, we're talking about wealth, and we also talking about what's the third one again? Accountability.
Accountability.
I got you.
Accountability. So we're gonna jump on that, and on the other side, of this break. This is Unapologetic on WOVU 95.9 FM. All right, welcome back, welcome back. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our first topic, which is relationships. And so at any moment when you open up anything that has to do with social media, we're looking at what I see primarily are black and brown people arguing with other black and brown people about relationships, who got the bag, and who's the, I guess, the reason or the culprit of why we don't have relationships. So that relationships, there's a lot cooking with it, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not willing to follow the recipe or even look at what makes a good relationship, you're definitely on your way out. The problem with that is there's not a lot of black families that have, something to go by that is healthy. So as you know, in the black community, our divorce rate is well over 60%. The divorce rate is, within the overall community is, 60%, but we're also high as well. It may not be 60. I think it's like 55. Right. So let's go, to that level. My first question is, and I want anybody. I really would like anybody to answer this, because I'm raising boys. You're raising one boy. Ivra, you raising a boy as well.
Yep.
So from your standpoint, why do you think so many men, or black men, we are black, struggle to maintain long-term relationships in this current environment?
Emotional intimacy.
Okay. Say more.
Yeah. So typically. Mm-hmm. Men are conditioned to experience probably two emotions in their life. Yeah. One, I call it sports joy. You just excited about sports, right? Yeah. And the other one is anger. Right. Outside of that, I feel like our emotional vocabulary as males, especially as younger males, is very limited, mm-hmm. right? And so, one of the things I strive to do that, we utilize all the time, my son will probably be sick of me because he's like, Dad, I don't want to look at his feelings well anymore. But I'm saying it's helpful though, right? Yeah. Because it's given us different words, mm-hmm. right, that we may not typically use to just kind of describe what we kind of emotionally are. And so I think, for a lot of males, I think that is the struggle, is how do I speak mm-hmm. in this emotional language to this person that I care about, and I want to let them know I care about them, or I want to be vulnerable with them. I just don't know how to express that. Yeah. Right. Besides using anger and, once again, excited about the joy of sports. Yeah. So
anger is a quick one, man.
Easy one.
It's a real easy one. And because of the concept of sports euphoria, right? Mm-hmm. It's celebrated now, right? We have FanDuel. We have FanDuel, we had fantasy drafts. Before all that, we just simply had the iconic aspect of a sports person. So that, those two emotions, which I definitely can appreciate, or those two outward expressions of emotion, is most easiest identified with us. What about you, Ivra?
That's such a great question. I agree in that mm-hmm. regard. I just want to see us give each other more grace. Yeah. I think we have to acknowledge that there's an overriding issue mm-hmm. that, conditioning society, and there's so much data coming mm-hmm. at all of us. Mm-hmm. I don't think we take enough time to sit with ourselves, right, and understand what I just failed a test, I'm frustrated, right, or I just got a speeding ticket, I'm mm-hmm. upset, and I'm trying to worry about how I'm gonna pay for it mm-hmm. and mm-hmm. all the ramifications, or
that goes along with that,
or even when something good happens, right. And I can tell you for sure that I didn't understand what it meant to truly be happy for somebody else until probably about 10 years ago. Okay. And I know I've told the story before on here, so I won't go into it, but we don't understand that we can be happy for another dude without being soft.
Yeah.
And truly just sharing their joy.
Yeah. Because it's needed.
Yes.
Don't forget about that part. It's needed. Mm-hmm. So culturally, navigating relationships. So let's be perfectly real. What you see on social media is literally relationships that are between, couples, but also long-term relationships for, male to male are difficult because of that thing, right? And I don't think there's enough of, education on relationships, period, on what it looks like for, to have or welcome another man into your life, and you're not soft and you're not gay or whatever have you. Sure. So when we're looking at this idea of relationships and supportive relationships, if we look romantically, that idea of roles, there's no such thing as roles, in my opinion, in relationships anymore. Now, there are positions, don't get me wrong, but the who cooks, who cleans, who earns, who's this and that, I think a lot of that is archaic, and it is getting in the way because, to be perfectly honest, at one point it was I'm 100% independent, and then and what does that do? Right. That, you're literally telling people, especially within the black community, and black women were celebrated, which they should be, for the amount of strength, but you're celebrating it in a way that is definitely, saying you don't need me. And so if you don't need somebody, or you have the message that you don't need someone, how are we going to have a long-term relationship? And then once we get into it, if you still have an ancient way of viewing roles, we may not work out well.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. I mean, when I think about, once again, how we were conditioned, right? The typical roles are the male provides, the male helps procreate and protect, right? The woman is usually the caretaker, the nurturer, and kind of handles all the quote-unquote background.
Right, the other stuff. The static.
All the other stuff that's going on. But yeah, I mean, I think now it has changed, right? I tell, the people that talk to you about relationships, like relationships now to me are interdependent. Yeah. Right. And that we're working together as a team on a daily basis. Yeah. Sometimes, depending on the year, my spouse has made more money than me. Right. And it has been reversed. Sometimes she's cooking. Sometimes I am. Right. Sometimes I'm cleaning. Sometimes she is. Right. I would love to tell you, like, there's these defined ways. But even when it comes down to our finances, we do our finances, sit down at the table, and we do it together. I could probably say, hey, honey, here's the stuff, get it done. Right? But it is
yo, go do this.
Right. Please, honey, handle this. Or vice versa. But once again, we like to think in this collaborative, team-oriented way. There are always ideas that she has and says, "Hey, what do we think about this? What do you think about this?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So we always try to work collaboratively. But I can tell you that there are a lot of male friends that I have had who's like, "Man, your wife making more than you? Like, that's a problem." And I said, "Well, what difference does it make?"
Who?
I don't know what the problem is.
I said if my wife was a doctor and she had a really nice 6-figure income, and I just made, I don't know, $100K or something, something a lot lower than that, I would be excited, because guess what? It's all coming to the same.
Right, because you in the same bucket. So, I mean, that's it. But let's be perfectly candid. The concept of the same bucket is not something that is passed along. Right. No. All of the money that this household makes come into the same bucket, which means that no one is shortchanging anyone. We're all responsible. In your household, when you're looking at this concept of roles, when you're looking at this concept of just all of this stuff, let's just be real, just all of this stuff, do you agree that most of the long-term struggle, possibly outside of your household, is this concept of roles? Who's making money? I'm the breadwinner. You're the cleaner. You're the taker. What about you, Ivra?
So if I had a problem with that, I would be the biggest liar on the face of this earth, because I ain't ever even come close to making as much as my wife. Yeah. Period. Yeah. I'll put that out for the whole world to understand. With that being said, we have to understand where we fit within that structure of our relationship. And it's okay, because when we win, we win.
That's the key.
We can't lose if we win. Right. And well, I will take that back. The only way we can lose once we've already won is if we give it away. Because
automatically.
Because we don't have the emotional maturity, and we can't recognize those toxic traits when we see them. Right. And we allow that messed up mindset to infiltrate our relationship, and then it spews out. Okay. Other ways. We should give each other more grace. I would love to I could talk about grace and giving grace to one another for hours. Right. Yeah. But we have to figure out ways to give ourselves grace and give our spouses grace and our kids and just giving people around us grace.
The understanding of grace within this society is not there. right? We've already been talking about how angry people are and how angry the society is. And let's be perfectly honest, if you look at the structure of our society, so it's white men, white women, black men, and if you just put it in its terms, black women. Black women are at the bottom, but they're at the top of the education level.
Oh,
when you look at this structure, and we go back to this idea of arguing back and forth and what we're seeing on our day-to-day, do you think that collectively black men are supporting black women both emotionally and financially, or is that one of those side conversations where we're distracted from some of the things that is really going on, meaning we have not actually been taught to be in a healthy relationship, and we are seeing a lot of that flower, a lot of that germinate of us not being taught how to be in a healthy relationship. So what you think, Ivra? Do you think that us as black men are supporting women financially and emotionally?
I think we are, and I think we can do better. I think it can be both.
Mm-hmm.
I think when given the opportunity, when we have the tools,
right,
we do support.
Okay.
But I think it can also be better for sure. The statistics are out there in terms of divorce rates and what have you. We can do better, and I'm not going to condemn the brothers that are doing the right thing because that's counterproductive as well. I just like that. I want to see folks that that when you are among the folks that are doing it right, find somebody that's not.
Yeah,
and show them some guidance.
Dorian, what does it mean to support we talked about supporting, or we hear it frequently, supporting a woman financially. We hear it all the time, right? My wife, my girl don't ever have to do this or pay this or that. So we hear about that all the time. I'm going to bounce into that second, but initially, from your standpoint, when we say that men, and we are all black men, but, men are falling short, and if we're looking black to black relationships, how as a black male do we support black women's emotions when we haven't actually been taught to respect our own emotions?
I don't think you can. Because to me, part of your emotional intelligence and building your IQ is just being aware of where you are. It's hard for me to as a black man to get a temperament of where my wife is if I don't understand where I am, right?
Simply as emotional intelligence or emotional insight, which are a little bit different at times.
I would say probably emotional insight.
Okay.
When I think in that regard. So to me, it's important as men that we take the time to reflect, to to work through, to process our own experiences. Yeah. Right, so that we're able to really actively and presently show up for the people in our lives. But I think when we don't do that, then to me, we're kind of like, in essence, the blind leading the blind. If that kind of makes sense.
And then you have babies. Right. Don't forget the babies. Ivra, did you have something to add on that? Because once again, we hear all this about financial, and we get into financial and the wealth in a minute. But this idea of, if we're talking black to black relationships, are we capable of supporting?
I think we are. And one of the things, like as Dorian was talking about, just checking in with ourselves, that's one of I do that when I'm getting into the shower, when I'm in the shower, getting like that little time where you have no other human beings for the greatest time to think 15 minutes
while you in the bathroom.
Right? So you got maybe 15 minutes.
Right.
But that's when like I was telling you, like next Wednesday, we're gonna do something.
Yeah.
And that's when those things can come to us. And I think just slowing down for just a little bit, just slow it down and let yourself feel what you feel.
The idea of feeling what you feel is a unusual thing, right? So a lot of times when I'm working with men, the very first thing that men want to do is into the DIY. Right, because we're taught, if I bounce over to the financial piece, we're taught that our only existence is to pay, to fix, or this and that. Yeah. When you're going and you're supporting, your wife, who's happened to be black, or any woman, let's be perfectly honest, they don't want you to fix anything, which means you need to actually sit with that person, right? So it's the old Job thing, right? The greatest thing that Job had when everything was torn asunder was his two boys, and they just sat on a pile. Every now and again, men just need to sit, but I strongly doubt that most men are going to allow a mess to be a mess without thinking or wanting to fix something.
Is it bad to want to fix it if you let it be?
That's true. So, it's the actions that's the problem,
right,
not the actual, but I get you.
And I think, too, I don't know that like, I know what my wife's perfect job would be, like, for her. Like, what would you want to do if you could do anything?
Right.
A lot of us don't.
You mean we don't ask the question, or we don't know, even if we are asked the question, how to answer that?
No, I'm saying, like, with my wife.
Yeah.
I know what she would do if she could do anything for a living. And I can't even tell you how that conversation came to pass, but that's one of those things that as husbands, I think we need to know that about our spouse, right? Like, what would you do? What's
if you care.
What's your gene? Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's a different topic.
No, I got it. I'm sorry. But if you have a mindset that your wife is supposed to be A, B, and C, that actually doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Right. So Dorian, what's your thought? Because you have Jamaican heritage.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You got down south heritage, Ivra. I got up north heritage, right? So if you think about who and how you were born in, how you were raised in your household, it dictates. We're all the same race. Right. We're vastly different ages, right? Sure. But we still live in America. We're still in Ohio. We're still here, but we were raised in different households. Go for it.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some small wrinkles. But yeah, I mean, to me it is, for us as men, like, once again, like you said, oftentimes we go into that logical brain, like, hey, let me go fix this.
Let's go fix it.
But the reality of it is sometimes finances can't solve the emotional distress you may be going through, right? And so sometimes, to me, it's just about learning to just sit in a discomfort and learning how to be in that while your partner is there.
Right.
And the other thing, too, is, and I even reminded myself and reminded my wife this the other day, I said, this feeling that we're experiencing right now, it feels really big.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not forever.
Yeah.
When I remind myself that it's not forever, I can pretty much endure anything, because the reality is, I said, in the next 5 minutes, we'll be moving on to some different emotion that maybe not be as heavy, and we can still come back. Yeah. Right. And when I remind myself of that, I'm gonna remind others of that, especially men too, who want to be instant problem solvers. It helps,
because we got to fix stuff.
Yeah.
But so let's get to the thing that really need to be fixed. So what's odd, I'll be honest with you, bro. What's odd in most cases, when I have clients and they happen to be married, they want to fix their household's emotional acuity. They want to fix the household, but they don't want to fix or look at the wealth aspect. Yeah. So in other words, black wealth is scarce, but each one of us are married. And we also know that a 2-income household, especially in the black community, is the easiest and quickest way to get to wealth. So when we're looking at this concept of financial literacy, why in this moment is financial literacy still so taboo within the black household? It is still individuals that don't have discussions with themselves or with their kids about money. So I'm going to bounce it over to you, Dorian.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess we're trying to change some ties, because we talk about it all the time, right? Like how we're utilizing, like Ivra, you mentioned credit cards the other day, right? Yeah. And when I was younger, my mom told me, hey, don't get a credit card. Right. Like, don't do it. You're just going to get in debt. And then when I got older, and my dad ended up getting married, and my stepmom, who's an accountant, said, hey, you're going to get a credit card, but only get it after college, and only get what's the credit card they give you when you first get it, but it's
secured.
Thank you. Only get a secured credit card, and then we'll just bill from there. Whole college, went to whole college, didn't have one credit card. But when I graduated, she says, okay, here's $500. Yeah. And what you do every single month is you purchase only the things that you can actually buy. Right. And then at the end of the month, you go and you just pay it off. And she said that way you'll be no interest. And then after that, I learned that, so I don't have to be afraid of credit. It's something that we can utilize.
There it is. But you made
it's a tool.
Go
ahead.
You said two things. I'm afraid.
Emotions.
And it's a tool. The fact that we don't recognize the fact from our fears, right? It's not something to be afraid of. It's something to be utilized and to make us stronger. But we have to be strong enough and mature enough to understand that it's a tool.
Okay. Right. So let's go backwards. Yeah. All right. So in my opinion, money is a tool. Yes. Right. Absolutely. No more. 100%. I should not get emotional about my hammer and I should not get emotional about my money because they're both tools.
Sure.
But we were taught growing up, at least in my household, scarcity creates fear.
Yeah.
You are an individual who is a financial advisor, Ivra. You are an individual that looks at finances, I should say. When a person, if we got someone that's listening, right, whether they are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, or whatever, and they are actively right now, give us the 3 things you should have in order to either start your wealth or to initiate your wealth, just the same, or to grow your wealth.
Well, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm
go
going
for
to give
it.
you one thing.
Oh.
I'm going to give you the one most
The one
important
thing.
thing
Go ahead.
to do, and that is to know where you are.
But what vehicle, though? Like, so if we're looking at vehicles, we hear stuff about life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
mutual funds,
absolutely,
stocks. So I need, if anybody is listening, we need to let them know, like, these are the things that you need to have in place as you're growing. No, whether you work at Walmart for $15 or you make $1 million a year, these are the things that you need in order for you to grow wealth.
So when I say number one, you have to know where you are, and that is my budget. So my income is this. My expenses are that. So those 2 pieces.
Yep.
That's where you have to you have to understand that first and foremost. Right. And most of us don't.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
We know that I got to pay rent.
Yep.
We know that I got to pay this car payment and this insurance. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
We have to have an understanding, a very clear understanding of income and expenses. And then we can migrate. It's like Pavlov's hierarchy of needs or Maslow, I'm sorry. The hierarchy.
Pavlov is the dog that was drooling, but I got you.
So the hierarchy of needs. So and you can apply your finances, you can apply that same triangle to your finances. So we're going to start foundationally, and that's with an understanding of my financial big picture.
Know where you are. Know where you want to go.
Exactly where you are.
Okay. And know how you're going to get there.
And then we can put together life insurance, because for in my opinion, as a financial professional, when you have the budget and you understand your budget, then you can move to the life insurance piece. And that way we understand that no matter what, whether or not I am here, that my family's going to have X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And then you can migrate to investments and how, what am I comfortable with?
Yeah.
Am I comfortable with the stock market or having someone that teaches me or runs through the stock market with me? Sure. Or do I want to purchase a rental property?
No, I got you.
Or do I want to buy a storage facility?
No, I got you.
Whatever the case may be. But you have to have the foundational piece in place. Then you have to have the life insurance piece in place. And then you can go to the investment piece.
So, Dorian, you are younger than Ivra and I, right?
Yep.
And so when we look at generationally and we look at this concept of money generationally, so the Gen X individuals were the first one to have the booming, the quick millionaires, right? We had the .com and all that other stuff. So next week we're going to talk about where Gen X actually dropped the ball. Yeah. With you, are you, and your generation or people that you are connected to in your generation, do you see any individual or people within your generation that are part of this so-called Black wealth renaissance?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, in what way?
Yeah. I mean, I got, I have my younger brother he's literally like right behind me as far as years is concerned, but like he's big in the stock market.
Right.
Learned it on his own and then started
day trading type of thing.
Day trading, and then now he's big into it. It is solely, I think, like 80% of his income.
Gotcha.
Goes into the stock market. He lives on like 20% of his income. So that's one thing, a person who I'm like, man, wow, you're really, really doing it big. And now he's looking to me to say, okay, hey, bro, I see you, you got a couple rental properties, right? What does it look like for me to get, some rental properties?
Yeah, transition. Open up your portfolio or add to your portfolio.
Right.
It's called diversify.
There we go.
That's the word.
There we go. Thank you. Right. So I feel like at least amongst my friends group, that's a constant conversation that we have. Okay, so like you said, you understand what you got coming in, you know exactly what you got going out. Okay, so how can I use what I have right now to leverage to leverage this, right? So, okay, hey, on one of my rental properties, it's paid off, so now I can take out a line of credit. Right? Now, okay, now I can use that one to do this, and boom. And I tell people, once you do it one time,
you got the roadmap.
And that doesn't mean you need to go out and be a real estate mogul.
Yeah.
But maybe you just want enough just to make sure your monthly expenses are taken care of without you working.
Yeah.
And and so I tell people, we don't have to be millionaires.
You can just be comfortable.
But that mailbox money.
No, seriously.
Hey, listen, that mailbox money is nice.
Bruh, just say it.
Yeah.
For some reason, we have gotten away from this idea that I don't have to be millionaires. I just need to be comfortable. And what comfortable means, which, for in our household, is the ability to, if anything catastrophic happened, pay for it. Secondly, to travel anytime that I need. And thirdly, to have the ability to be mobile anywhere that I can go in the world.
So, but you're talking about getting to the peak of that triangle.
No, that's not though.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Well, not to but you're going.
That's self-actualization.
You're going up the triangle.
Yes.
You're getting close to the top.
You went from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Now, like I would tell, and it was funny. Me and my wife were literally talking about this right before we came here, and we're like, well, what is financially? And I said, to me, we're wealthy when we can go a while without being paid.
Yeah.
Or I'm not thinking about, did I get paid this month? I'm just like, right. And so to me, those are luxury. I'm like, wow, because we were at one point where I'm like, hey, hey, are we here?
Yeah. What we doing? No, I got you. Let me be transparent with you. We just found out that we had on excess, a couple $1,000s per month that we were squandering away because we never was sequential with our money. Gotcha. So when we're looking at this idea of creating a plan, if I'm looking towards myself, first thing I'm gonna do is, or what I do is, say we got to release the emotion that is related to money. So that's one. Sure. Deal with your trauma as related to money. Secondly, if we are looking at in a coupleship, you have to be honest about what you bring to the table and allow yourself to be said, this is not enough and you may need to bring more. Yeah. And that's okay. Meaning if we're trying to get here comfortable, right? And I catastrophic, the ability to travel and to be mobile. If we're looking at that, you may need to add something else. And so lastly, we're also need to be not only transparent about what's, let go of the emotions, be transparent about where you are. You also have to have the ability to write things down and be, what we're going to talk about on the other side of the break, accountable in your relationship and your relationship with the money. So you got anything before we got a couple minutes before we jump off?
Well, I love that. I love that thought of having these things in place.
Yeah.
Being able to move when I need to move. And that is the pinnacle. Now that's a pinnacle, but your triangle can get larger.
It gets beautiful,
right? It can get bigger. You can add things to it. Yeah, but once you've got to that point where I know that if something happens, I'm good for 6 months or a year. That's in my opinion, as a financial professional, right? That's the pinnacle. You do have the ability, and sometimes we do have the desire to make that larger. Okay, the house that I have isn't what I my dream house. So let's get the dream house.
Yeah, sure.
So then you start adding those layers on top. But when you are at a point where everything is good and you don't necessarily have to do things to make your
to make ends meet.
Then
it's an option.
You're there.
Yes, let's take this quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get into this accountability, because I think we're also missing a point on this. We're allowing certain aspects of our society to take over our relationships as well as our thinking. And also, we just going to put it right back on black men and just be perfectly candid and honest about the accountability that we're lacking. So we're going to take a quick break. This is Unapologetic with Eric King on WOVU 95.9 FM. All right, let's close out this hour. This is Unapologetic with Eric King on WOVU 95.9 FM. Let's hit this last part called accountability, and then we're going to get into we got to get the people what they want, which are solutions. Do you believe that we're still, as black men, whether we're talking about our relationships with women, or are we talking about our money, or are we talking about how we view money, even how we relate to those within our communities? do you believe that we are still following the stereotypes that most people from the outside view us as, and are we going along with it? So when I'm watching these podcasts, right? This is a new media. It is perpetually, black and brown men and women going at each other, which I have not seen this. And it may just be the way that the internet is curated or my feed is curated. I do not see this. I may see this in the white community, but I don't see it in an Asian. I don't necessarily see it a lot in the Mexican or the Hispanic, and I shouldn't say it like that, but the Latinx community. Are we continuing to fall into age-old stereotypes, and do we need to do something about it? That's that last one. Are we still following?
Yeah, so
because I'm frustrated, but just roll with it.
No, I still think we are still kind of falling into that box, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of men equate their value to the amount of money that they're making, and if they're not making that amount of money, or if they can't provide for their household because maybe they were laid off, and and things have occurred, that there is this. Like you said, this emotional attachment to what I'm not doing. And what I've often challenged myself to do and challenge my clients when, they come to me and present with this issue is like, so what other ways can you show up that is not financial? Mm-hmm. For most men, I get the totally stump face.
The duh face.
What other way is there, Dorian?
So we're not, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I always challenge men that your kids, that although yes they want to be provided for, they don't really care about your money. They actually, children care more about your time than about your money. Right. And so I said the same thing for your spouse. Yes, they want you to financially be there for them and provide. Right. But I'm much sure that they would rather have your presence and your love, and you emotionally be there for them, or be there for them in other ways that is not financial. And so, when you challenge men to think differently and to step up to the occasion, they can. Yeah. But they also have to be prompted to do that.
Can I give you one that I've used? And I would love for you to use it with your practice. Your presence is your currency in many cases. Yeah. Physically, and I don't think that we recognize. I don't think that it's put to us in that exact word, but being here. And I use this in networking, in business networking. Yeah. Because some of the networking groups, you got to pass this many referrals, or you got to pay. Your presence is currency.
Okay. So
good stuff.
The idea that we're all emotionally in tune individuals, right? When we look at certain aspects of social media, certain things on the TV, we are able to see certain things that are pandering to us and also causing some of our issues. But let's be perfectly honest. There is definitely black folks harming black folks. Yes, and absolutely. So the issue is not only what we see, it's also what we think. So a lot of times when something happens, the very first thing comes out is racism. Are we as a community continue to blame racism for things, if we're talking about accountability, that we should be policing in our own community? Well, for example, hold on. So recently it was said that, in Baltimore, the transit system was losing money, right? So what they did is put a police officer on it. Right, and the reason why the bus drivers were not saying something, because they didn't want to get harmed, because they were getting beat up. If you see online, now they put a police officer on it, and that they stabbed a police officer. If that police officer shoots someone who is attempting to harm them and they look like us, the very first thing is that we're going to say is that if it's a white cop, or even if it's not a white cop, we're going to say that that's racism. No, that's not racism. Right. It's societal struggles. Are we putting too much, and we got about 8 minutes, are we putting too much on this concept of racism, where things that are actually racist issues are becoming watered down and missed because everything is racist?
Yeah, that's a problem. I think we need to acknowledge that social media isn't real life.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Can we acknowledge that simple fact? Social media is not real life.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to we need coaches.
Yeah.
Right? Because the people that we look up to, or that are, I should say, some of us look up to.
Yeah.
And these figures, athletics and whatnot, they all have coaches.
Yeah.
We need coaches on different aspects of our lives that can that has walked through these, the obstacle course that is finances or relationship, whatever the case may be.
Right.
We need to have coaches. And yes, there is an aspect that some black folks are harming others, and that needs to be addressed. But we also need to celebrate the folks that are doing it well.
Okay.
Because those folks, we don't talk enough about the young black men and women
that are doing
great things.
Right, that are doing amazing.
That are doing great things. That gets left off.
Yes.
There are people that, perspective, man.
Yeah.
We lose perspective because we're on social media and we scroll through and we see that brother hitting the other brother over the head with a brick.
Right.
But we don't scroll through to find, the I Promise school and how well they're doing or whatever the case may be. So
not only that, just what happens outside this door. Burton Bell Carr, the development, what's going down on Buckeye, which is a black-owned, or is a Black Renaissance down there. Lyric is down there doing his thing down on Buckeye. So there's so many positive things that are going on. And yes, when we look at this concept, and we got about 6 minutes, when we look at this concept of racism, everything can't be racist.
Right.
Some things are simply you didn't raise that child right, or you're not accepting accountability for your issues. You just so happen to be black. Go ahead, Dorian.
Right. No. Yeah. And to your point, Ivra, I do think that what we see and what we hear profoundly impacts our experience and what we think about. Right. So it was even a couple weeks ago that I think I was scrolling on Facebook. And I just kept seeing negative stuff, and I'm like, man, I need to change this, right? And so then I went out and started subscribing to more positive things that were, once again, because of my thought was, I was like, if I'm looking at all the TV shows that I watch,
right,
if any, do I see a black male represented in a positive way, right? Even superhero Marvel shows, you don't see that very often. Black Panther, right?
Right.
There's only so many Black Panthers.
Right.
One.
And so yeah, right. Great point. So when I look at those things, I'm like, okay, so what can we change what we're being exposed to, not just accepting what is.
That's that
TV.
Accountability, though. Right. So that means stop looking at the big booties.
Yeah.
And, right.
Something different.
I've never seen so many booties walk by. I have to admit, I'm a leg and thigh man. I'm a butt, leg, and thigh man. But yes, I'm not to derail you. I'm sorry.
I'm with you.
Wait, but did you see?
Yeah, I was like,
Dorian, y'all can't see him online, and our internet is down at the radio station, so we weren't able to broadcast like we needed to. But go ahead, Dorian. I'm sorry.
We just went off.
I didn't throw him off. Did you see that?
No, I'm good. But yeah, I mean, yeah. Like you said, there has to be some accountability, and can I do more to control my experience and where I'm driving to in my destination? And I think the answer is yes. I mean,
but you can though.
We can. Yes, we can continue to make excuses and say, okay, racism. But then, like you said, at some point, where do we take accountability for our own education? Okay. Where do we take accountability for helping and impacting those around us in a positive way, even though it feels uncomfortable? Where do we take accountability when it comes to talking to other people about how we feel? And it doesn't have to be anger. That I can, underneath this anger, I could just genuinely be sad or disappointed. The fact that we were
I can be happy.
Right. The fact that we were supposed to meet at this said place at said time, you just didn't show up because you were you were running late.
Right.
That we can talk about those experiences, be real, actually have a connection. It is not that we are soft.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And that we can move on from the experience and say, hey, I appreciate you. You appreciate me. Let's hug it out. And we took some positive things from the conversation. So,
So we about to close out in a minute. So this is my 2025 call to action, right? So 2025 is almost here. Here's the challenge. Let's stop waiting for someone else to challenge the narrative. Do your thing to challenge the narrative. this show is called Unapologetic, although I've apologized quite a bit, but that's besides the point. In apologizing or, being in charge of the narrative is also recognizing when you should change a narrative and when you've placed something out in the universe that has been, toxic. Next, work on building wealth, right? So when we're talking about, there's a difference between wealth and riches. So riches is money, wealth is longevity that you can use that may not have green, but it may have buildings, it may have asphalt, it may have other things. Sure. The next thing is love a little deeper, right? Love from your heart. Be less mindful, but be more heartful. Those are my things. Go ahead. What you got?
No, I mean, for me, I just want, and I've had this desire for a long time, but I want to be impactful to more Black folks.
Okay.
I want to be in a church, in somebody's church or community center, doing more in terms of teaching finances.
All right. We got 1 minute. What you got for me, Dorian?
Yeah, I would say for me, going into 2025, my decree is to continue to make strive and innovations in ways that I can change people's lives in meaningful ways.
Yeah. So in 2025, we're going to, this internet thing, we're going to figure out a better way, Amen. The best way to start broadcasting in 2025. We will have an actual sponsor. Code M Magazine is going to be a part of our sponsorship for the Brother to Brother. We're going to see if we can get a little money from them too, right? But we're going to, increase the amount of listenership. So shout out to Bilal out there, and B Money. I can't even think.
Big ups.
Brandon out there. Brad. There we go. Brad. Because I was about to be like, wait, but yeah. And congratulations to both Brad and Bilal on crossing over to Alpha Phi Alpha, and Dr. Williams, who is now a Sigma. He was also on the show. So shout out to all these. Shout out to all these people that are. He was wow. Shout out to all these people that are doing big things and moving forward. But yeah, in 2025, we're going to be a little bit more intentional about the show. We got definitely things that we're going to talk about. We're going to be a little bit more impactful. So not only am I charging myself, I'm charging others. All right? All right. So peace, and I'll see you next week. Peace.